WIFTV-PM. WIFTV-PM.
Shop at Black-owned and operated Solo Beauty, where you are appreciated and respected. Located at 8158 South Cottage Grove, Solo Beauty can serve all of your Black hair care needs. Solo Beauty is open from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. Tuesday through Saturday, or you can find them online at solobeauty.com.
Are you curious to explore the intellectual currents that channel our thoughts and frame our reality? Have you ever meditated for relaxation and accidentally discovered the universe in the process? These matters and many more you may never have even thought of will be yours to explore as you come with me into Muwakil's world. Every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 11 to 1, right here on What's in It for the Black People Media.
This secure moment is brought to you by Secure Home and Automation, your premier authorized Bring security dealer. Home invasions occur every 23 seconds, fire every 85 seconds, and medical emergencies occur suddenly. In times like these, get secured home and automation and an affordable wireless home alarm system with professional monitoring. This includes fast emergencies response, free security analysis, free equipment, and free installation. A limited time offer, be proactive. Call today, don't delay. 708-251-5069. That's 708-251-5069. Call now, 708-251-5069, or visit our website, securehomeandautomation.com. Secure Home and Automation, where your life safety is our priority. It brings authorized dealer, certain restrictions apply.
Hi, I'm Dr. Willie Wilson. So many politicians are bought by special interests and major corporations instead of the citizens who elected them. I will not be bought. I will finance my own campaign in good faith to the voters of Illinois and promise to serve with integrity at all times. I'm asking for your support as I run for U.S. Senator in 2020.
Paid for by Willie Wilson for Senate 2020.
Cootie Simmons, of course. I just knew he was Cootie, you know,
right,
from Channel Zero.
I mean, that's how we know him. We just know him as Cootie.
Now let's talk about this joint that you guys recently dropped. You directed the Stephon Marbury documentary, A Kid from Coney Island, that's on Netflix right now.
When they came to us about the project, I was like, Stephon Marbury? You know, I'm thinking Tim Hardaway. I'm like, man, Marcus Liberty. I'm like, Stephon. I don't know New York. I don't know Steph. All right, I'm thinking exactly. I know how to tell a Chicago story good, you know.
Chicago famous. 3 to 6, Monday through Friday, right here on What's in It for the Black People Media.
WIFTV-PM.
Live from What's in It for the Black Media Studio. You're listening to I Said What I Said.
Wait, what did you say?
I said you're listening to I Said What I Said.
I just said that.
I know you just said that.
That's what I just said.
That's what I'm saying to you.
Exactly what he just said.
With Herb Howard and Toussaint Werner.
That's about one of the nicest things you've ever said.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying.
Great afternoon to you, wonderful people. Thank you for tuning in to this Wednesday edition of I Said What I Said. My name is Herb Howard. My esteemed co-host, his name is Toussaint Werner. Each and every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, we get together right here with you all, and we discuss issues that are impacting the black community, how those things are impacting us as individuals, and also how they are impacting us as a collective. And along with your help, we talk through many of these issues in hopes of finding the best solutions for how we can overcome many of these issues. Again, overcome them as individuals, but more importantly, overcome them as a collective. We thank each and every one of you guys for tuning in to What's in It for the Black People Media for I Said What I Said. We greatly, greatly appreciate it. This is intellectual thuggery at its finest. We think it is the blackest conversation in America. So please, if you please we'll take a quick moment to share the conversation. Share it on your personal page. Share it even within your personal network. Anyone that you think would either find value in or add value to this particular conversation, we welcome them to be a part of the discussion. We truly feel that the more like-minded individuals that we can bring into the conversation, the better the opportunity that we have of finding the optimum solutions going forward. So please, if you will take a quick second to share the conversation on your personal page, we would greatly, greatly appreciate it. Again, my name is Tucson Werner. No, it's not. That's not true at all, y'all.
Look at you.
That's not true.
Still living in
it's
my
absolutely,
shadow.
That's absolutely not true.
Still living in my shadow, huh?
That's the best compliment you've ever gotten in your life. Okay?
No, I doubt it.
This is I Said What I Said. His name is Tucson Werner. My name is Herb Howard. Thank y'all so very, very much for tuning in. Please take a minute to share the page. If you would like, if you want to contribute to the show, you can also do so by clicking on the little gold stars in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. We certainly appreciate each and every one of those. Again, every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 1 to 3 p.m., we get together right here on What's in It for the Black People Media. Let's try this again. My name is Herb. His name is Tu.
Today, huh? You struggling today,
Tu,
bro?
what's happening, good brother? How you feeling?
Man, I'm blessed and highly favored, man. Salute to everybody who's busting the stars down already, man.
Hey,
we so appreciate you all.
We's grateful.
Mama Howard even bust down some stars.
Yeah, but you told me you wasn't really feeling hurt earlier today.
Yeah, man. I got a bone to pick with Mama Howard.
What did Mama Howard do to you?
Mama Howard plugged me with one of your pretend cousins.
Yeah, let's be clear, because listen, anybody who knows my mama, everybody she's ever met is family. Right?
I ain't mad at that. That's how
it's super dope. My house was like that growing up. Everybody could always stay there, and at some point, everybody I know has stayed there, right? But she's real good with telling you, like, hey, your cousin on the phone, your uncle on the phone, your auntie on the phone. Who? Never heard of these people.
And it'd be Jamal from down the street. Huh?
Yeah, so as soon as you told me that she plugged you in one of my cousins, I was like, it's a 50-50 chance I even know this person.
Gave you the name and everything. You was like, I don't know who that person is.
80% chance they ain't my cousin.
Yeah, so she plugged me with them, right? So she hooked me up with somebody to braid my hair. You know, I'm looking for the Riri on the pull-up type of deal.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to the real, pay that real price. I'm not trying to pay that real ticket. I want the hood action. Right. So I reached out to the sister, man, and she hit me. She said, well, I'm on vacation now, so we're going to have to schedule another time. And I'm in my head like, baby, you do hair in the kitchen. What you mean you on vacation?
I'm on vacation. I had to go to the dining room for a week or two. I'm not working.
Yeah, we taking the TV time out. You know what I'm saying? I said, check this out. Okay.
He said, baby, you braid hair in your kitchen. What you mean you on vacation?
What you mean?
That's absolutely hilarious.
Salute to Mama Howard, man. I appreciate you.
What else is happening in your world, man? Anything of note?
It is. Some stuff I'm not going to talk about. You know what I mean? I was telling you off air, so that's moving forward nicely.
Yeah, Tu will be crying here soon.
I will be crying here soon, but that's moving forward nicely. Other than that, man, just maintain it, brother. I ain't been able to get no sleep lately. I don't know what that's about, man. So I'm rocking off for probably like 26 hours right now, and that's not healthy.
No, it's not healthy, man. Fortunately, I was able to get some pretty good rest last night. I hadn't been able to sleep for probably like prior 3 or 4 days. I had literally been up for like 3 days straight with maybe like a couple hours here and there in between for sleep. And last night it reached that critical level. I had to get some sleep or I wasn't going to be no doggone good today. So fortunately, I was able to go ahead and get some sleep. And I hope you're able to get some here soon, man. I personally think sleep is a little overrated. Like I think that, I'm just not one of those people who really loves to be asleep, right? I'm not one of those people like, I'm up all day, so I'm just gonna be rich off that. Like I just find sleep to be boring, really, right? I don't find it very entertaining to be asleep. I would rather be doing something else. Now, if I'm exhausted, I can appreciate sleep just as much as any other person. But if I'm not absolutely exhausted, I'd rather be up, right? I'd rather be up doing something or doing nothing. I just find sleep to be a little bit boring. Unless I'm exhausted, then I find it to be absolutely thrilling.
So you young enough to have that kind of perspective still. Let me tell you something, boy. Sleep is valuable. You understand me?
Yeah.
But, you know what, man? I'm an entrepreneur in my regular life. And I'm black.
Yeah.
Right. So the world doesn't really afford you the opportunity to just
to be
chill.
sleep. Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And we got to be honest, right? There's a kind of this paradigm or this kind of cultural kind of collateral where hustling is just like, I don't know, it's like praised in our community, right? And I come from a man who was a hustler and worked hard as hell, and so it's kind of it's a learned behavior. So I don't know, man. The older I get, I start to value it so much more. But it is something that you got to train your mind to do. I kind of sleep. I'm like a child, right?
Right.
I go into the gas, it's fully gone, and I just fall out. You know what I mean? I'm not the dude who's gonna get in the bed and sit there for 20, 30 minutes trying to get to sleep. As soon as I touch that bed, it's over. It's a wrap.
Right.
Yeah, it's a wrap. I run the gas all the way out the engine.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's not healthy though, right?
It's not.
I got a lot of health problems and ailments that probably would affect somebody a little bit older than me. But it's probably based on the way I live my life. But I also think that's a, part of the narrative of just being black in America, man. Life is hard on you, specifically as a man. You know what I mean? And a man is trying to win. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's the key, right? Because you could sit on your ass and not do shit. There's plenty of people doing that. That's perfectly fine, right? That's your choice. But if you're actually out here trying to make some change, trying to get some things done for you and your circle and your community, then it's you talk about 8 hours of sleep. That's a third of my motherfucking life. I'm supposed to be asleep for that long. A third of my life, I got to go to sleep. I don't really want to be asleep for a third of my life. I feel like a lot of good shit could happen in that third of my life.
But a lot of good shit happens when you sleep.
Yeah, you grow, you rest, you recharge. All those things are extremely valuable. I find my sweet spot to be right at about 6 hours, right? If I can get that 6 hour spot, I feel cool. I feel recharged. I'm ready to go. Now, if like I said, if I'm exhausted and I end up getting a 7 or 8 or whatever, cool. But generally speaking, if I've been asleep for like 6 hours, I'm kind of ready to move around, right? Especially right now. I spent the better part of the first half of this year in the bed, stuck in the bed with this Achilles injury, and so now
it was STD.
Wow.
No, was it?
Wow. I got that from being in the bed. That's not why I was stuck in the bed. So stupid, man. And so now I'm really charged. Now that things are starting to open back up and I'm able to get back into doing things and hosting different events and going through different venues and whatnot, I'm excited. And so every time my phone rings, every time I email, like, yep, I can do that, I can do that. And so just going. And a little bit of insomnia has set in, but I'm good. Like I said, I got my rest last night. I'm solid for another 3 days. I'm ready to roll.
Man, we kind of got away from this early on, man. I want to get back to it, though, man. Shout out to Mama Howard. Shout out to Sarah Mickens. Shout out to Brian Lamar. Shout out to Frederica Sims.
Thank you.
Shout out to Cousin Gene.
Thank you. Gino, appreciate you.
Shout out
to
Biggs had it. T. Renee.
Yeah.
Shout out to Carmen Coburn, Adrian Anderson.
Wiz OG Adrian Anderson.
Yeah, man. It's a few more I know showed us love.
Kenneth Steele as well came through the stars.
Kenneth Steele,
as much as I appreciate Kenneth Steele coming through with the stars and Lunya as well, I appreciate Kenneth Steele saying that Herb and 2 continue to apply pressure to all the other What's In It for the Black People media radio shows, man. Listen. We appreciate y'all. We listen. I tune into the other shows, right? So I wasn't really in the comments a lot for Muwakil's World. That's because we were already here. We were at the studio already, so we were just watching outside in the green room. But I tune into the show, so I see some of you all tuned into those shows as well, and I'm glad that y'all are there. But y'all know. I said what I said is really where it's at. And I'm glad y'all know. We appreciate it.
We was talking outside, and I told Maze that he was a Padawan and we were the Jedi. So
these are facts.
I think it's time for a break.
These are facts. See,
Esco over there hating.
See, Esco. I love Esco because she rock with us, she ride with us, but she is the Maze Jackson show through and through. Right? She is the Maze Jackson show at her heart, and so she always gonna try to make sure that the Maze Jackson show is number one. But listen. Men lie, women lie. Numbers don't. The ratings came in last week.
They can be manipulated.
But I said what I said. Beat the Mae Jackson show last week. That's just it happened.
It happened. It is true.
It happened.
It is true.
It happened.
It is true.
Listen, y'all, if you just tuned in, this is I Said What I Said. We are live from the What's in It for the Black People Media Studios every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Myself, Herb Howard, and that gentleman over there, Toussaint Warner. We get together right here with you and discuss issues that are impacting the black community. Thank you all so very, very much for choosing to hang out with us. You could literally be doing anything else in the world, and your decision to hang out with us means the absolute world to us. We truly, truly, truly appreciate it. If you have not done so, please take a quick moment to share the conversation. Thank you to everyone who's contributed with the stars. We have a great show planned for you guys. A few things that we want to get into. So before we get into anything else, before we go any further, let me hit you guys with the rundown. First, we're going to get into a conversation about 45. I saw such a cold shirt. I can't think of the restaurant. It's on 39th, right across the street from the fire station. It's a black-owned spot. I went there last night, and I can't think of the name. It's tweaking me. It'll come to me. But anyway, one of the sisters in there, she had on the shirt that said 8645. That just had these numbers in glitter on the shirt, 8645. And it didn't hit me at first. So I asked her, like, what's 8645? And she was like, it's about Donald Trump. I'm like, it still didn't hit me because I'm still sitting there stupid. Like, okay, what about him? She's like, get rid of him. I'm like, oh, 86 him. Like, 86. Cut him out. Like, 86, 8645. I loved it. It was super, super dope shirt.
Creative.
Yeah, I liked it a lot. We're going to get into a conversation about Donald Trump. He has been flirting with the idea of a third term, while not yet securing a second term. He's not even in for a second term. He's already talking about, I deserve a third term.
Threatening to change the Constitution, bro.
Listen, it's the gumption that we talk about with him all the time. He does not give a fuck.
Fascism.
He does not give you everybody walking around talking about like zero fucks given and I don't care and I couldn't care less. Like, he really couldn't care less. Like, he don't give a single solitary fuck about what nobody thinks. No matter how outlandish his idea is, I'm going to get a third term as president of the United States, although it's written into the Constitution that I can only have two. He's going to use COVID-19. He's going to use the economy crash and all these other things he's going to try to use and say, listen, it was unprecedented, right? The country needs some stabilization. This is not the time for change. And he already has his own staunch supporters who are going to rock with him regardless. But if he can generate enough fear, right, then he can kind of use that to get the middle people to say, yeah, maybe we shouldn't change right now. If we change right now, those niggers going to break all the glass at the Gucci store and take all the purses.
But what did Pac say? I peeped the weakness in the rap game and sold it, right? So that's the very nature of capitalism, right?
Big facts.
So you find a problem and you fix it, right? And not to say that the Constitution is problematic, but the sickness of America is what it is. Racism is racism, right? Now, we glance over it for forever. But what he realizes that it's his niche. It's my niche. I can sell this to become all powerful.
Yes.
Right? So in a lot of ways, man, he's primed to do exactly what he's saying he wants to do. Right? Now, we can look at all the polls and say he's losing in all the polls, but one place he isn't losing in is in regards to the economy. Now, in regards to the economy, that's kind of a falsehood, right? It's a false narrative because only the people at the top of the economy are really reaping the benefits of what's happening right now.
Right.
But that's also how lopsided the wealth gap is. That's how lopsided this country is, right? Those are the only people who make decisions.
And when you understand that cash is king here, and you understand that the general aspirations of Americans, right? If I can satisfy those rich people at the top, then I can also use that very same thing to motivate the masses of people who are at the bottom who want to make their way to the middle or the top, right? And so that absolutely sells. That marketing strategy absolutely works. It's very, very pliable.
Yeah, so Carmen Coburn said better check the Constitution, right? And I get what the Constitution is. I understand it's a contract, right?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day,
a lot of things in the Constitution that we don't see on a daily basis.
But can you beat my ass? Well, over it'll outweigh that contract.
Yeah.
Right? Because a contract don't mean shit if you're willing to break it.
Yeah.
It just don't.
Yeah. If I hang you over this balcony, Ice-T, I don't give a fuck what I said the contract was.
That's right.
I hang you over this balcony, you gonna sign this paper.
My office hours are.
Right.
You know what I mean? Big red your ass, and you gonna change the game.
Right.
You know what I mean? It is what it is.
Right.
So we're in an interesting
I meant
time,
Vanilla
man.
Ice. I said Ice-T, but I really meant Vanilla Ice.
I know you're a young boy. You're a young boy. You missed out on some of those days. You know, I know. That's why I came to your aid, but I get it.
Hey, listen,
I'm sure you know all the drill artist names though.
I don't know none of them niggas, but I counted the honor and a blessing to be able to sit alongside with you. That's the real, man. You got about a decade on me, and I value that knowledge and experience.
Feel the same way, brother.
Yeah, I value that knowledge and experience, and so it works out. It works out well. Listen, we're also going to get into a conversation about Breonna Taylor. Her family has received a $12 million settlement from the city of Louisville. Now, when you talk about the 1/3 that the attorneys are going to take off. We talk about Ben Crump and his people getting paid all across the country. Not to diminish the work that they do, or to say that they are disingenuous for the reason that they do it. But they are going to cut about a $4 million check off of that.
Mays brought up a great point earlier, though,
which was
in his show. And he asked, "What work does Benjamin Crump really do? All of these cases get settled. He's not fighting anything." And they're all high-profile cases.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, it only makes sense for the states to settle.
Yeah.
So what work is he really doing but showing up?
Nothing. He uses his cachet, right? He uses his name. He uses to say, okay, Attorney Crump is on this case, or
he's Al Sharpton in it.
Yeah, or Lee Merritt is on this case, and so it's going to bring all this attention, and it's going to be all this uprising. Don't you want this uprising to stop? Don't you want this uprising to stop? Cut him a check. Cut him a check. I go to the family. I can tell I'll make $12 million sound decent, right? Because really $4 million sounds decent to me. So I'll make $12 million sound decent to them. We gone. Everybody gone about their business. It will work out. Now, family's probably going to walk away with about $4 million, right? The attorney's going to take their third off the top. And you got taxes.
We got to make an amendment to that so that they don't get taxed on settlements.
They don't get taxed.
So they'll walk with probably like 8.
Okay, so they'll walk away about 8, right?
Mm-hmm.
Cool, right? Cool, right? But then you juxtapose that to the case of the white woman's name is escaping me right now, but she was shot and killed by
Minnesota police officer.
By a Minnesota police officer, a black police officer, as she walked up and approached the squad car.
Let's qualify that though. He Somalian police officer.
True.
Right.
True.
Somalian.
Fair.
Right.
He killed her. He was indicted. He was arrested, indicted, convicted, and then the city paid out $55 million in a wrongful death suit to that white woman right there. What's her name?
Justine Diamond.
Justine Diamond.
Australian American
killed by a Somalian American. Family gets $55 million.
They fought. They asked for $50 million, but they settled for 20.
Oh, so they didn't get 55?
No, they didn't get 55, but that's where they started at, and they ended up settling for 20.
Okay.
No. Okay, nothing.
No, look, what I'm saying is this. I expect there to be some uptick from dead black woman to dead white woman in this country.
Okay.
And $8 million seems about where I expect it to be. $40 million seems a little bit outrageous to me, right? But that's either way. That's where they're coming in that case. We're going to talk about those things as well as we go through, because there's some other things that are very, very interesting about that in terms of who was fired and who fired but not charged, because one of the officers was fired due to misconduct, questionable with his sexual misconduct toward white women. And Tui raised a good question to say, okay, well, where's the Me Too movement on that, right? You got this cop who's wrapped up in this murder case of Breonna Taylor, but he's also been in question about his sexual misconduct toward white women. Seems like that would be a great intersection for the Me Too movement to join the Black Lives Matter movement, but they chose not to do it that way. So we'll see how that goes. But we'll get into that conversation. Also, your boy Benjamin Crump, again, legitimately pleading with the Attorney General for manslaughter charges, not murder, right?
Mm-hmm.
Pleading. He's begging just to get manslaughter charges. Murder completely off the table, right? Manslaughter charges he's pleading for. But once you take that $12 million check, you lose a lot of leverage on this fucking pleading thing. I know you're talking about a civil case versus a criminal case, but again, have we seen him have criminal charges brought in any of these cases?
So I know that's been an argument that's been made all day on a lot of different kind of outlets.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's necessarily true. I don't know if you necessarily lose leverage because you've taken the money, right? I think they're two different conversations. I think you lose leverage because you're dead. Right, I have that conversation often. Right, when I got the firearms to conceal and carry, you make sure you kill the person you shoot because they can't testify.
Yeah,
and all we have to do is say we fear for our life, and that kind of validates you shooting them. Right, so we already know the situation. They no knock warrant.
Right,
open it when they no knock warrant the door. The boyfriend fire first. So
we fire back.
By the very nature of him firing first, regardless of how you
murder's off the table. First degree
it's kind of off the table.
Right. You know it's not premeditated no more. Somebody fired at me, I fired back.
Not at all. And it might not be a charge at all.
Yeah, for sure.
Which is why Benjamin Crump is pleading for manslaughter.
But again, to your point, when you talk about the victim being dead, right, not being able to tell that side of the story, then all the other side has to do is paint a unfavorable picture of the deceased. And We saw Mike Brown lay that out on Triggered yesterday. Again, Mike Brown with Triggered here Tuesdays and Thursdays, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m.
Mike is tuned in. I know he couldn't wait to hear us talking.
Yeah.
Mike is crazy.
Yeah, Mike is off the meat.
I love Mike, but Mike is crazy.
We up against a break, but when we come back, Mike laid out the case that the Louisville City and Police Department are trying to lay out to portray Breonna Taylor as less than an upstanding citizen, which may or may not be true. My point is, who gives a fuck? How does that warrant her being murdered inside of her own house, right? That's my question with that. We'll have that conversation. Also, your girl Kamala, she wore some Timbs, right? She's trying to do everything she can to prove how assimilated into black culture she is, how ingratiated she is into what we do. She rocked her Timbs, but she still ain't really told us shit about what she want to do for black people, even though What's in It for the Black People media asked her directly, face-to-face, a couple days ago, and she couldn't tell us a motherfucking thing.
It's like Obama's tan Easter suit.
Facts.
That's all you need is fresh stylist, and you on with us.
You on with us.
You popping with us.
It works for us.
You see that fit?
It works for us.
I'm voting for him.
It works for us. Wet ass pussy apparently gets you your pinky toe shot off if you ask Megan Thee Stallion, and if you ask Cardi B, apparently your husband, even with your wet ass pussy, continues to search for more wet ass pussies. We're gonna have that conversation as we go through another 100,000 plus deaths from COVID. We're gonna talk about those things and more as we go through. Again, this is I Said What I Said. Herb and 2 here with you till 3 o'clock. We'll be right back after this.
WIFTBPN. Shop at Black-owned and operated Solo Beauty, where you are appreciated and respected. Located at 8158 South Cottage Grove, Solo Beauty can supply all of your black hair care needs. Solo Beauty is open from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. Tuesday through Saturday, or you can find them online at solobeauty.com.
The birthday line is, easily, or the birthday bash, whatever you want to call it.
Our hit record.
That's our hit record.
That's our hit record.
That's our one. That's
right,
my girl.
That's My Girl by the Temptations. Like no matter where we go, we gotta do that.
Ready to go down? Yes, we are. Come on, who's this on that birthday line?
It's Mandy and Mimi.
And how old are you on this day?
I'm 14, I'm 13.
Go ahead. It's your birthday. Go ahead.
Definitely let out twins.
Where y'all from?
South.
Where y'all from?
Adam B.
Bad boys gotta say about
Ida B.
From WGCI. 3 down. 2 more.
Old projects.
On the show called It's Your Birthday. Go, 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 go. My love, I got a question.
Hey, she doing the question. No more to go.
With the show called It's Your Birthday.
Hey, let that play.
It took, man.
I'm tired just listening to that.
Chicago Famous, 3 to 6, Monday through Friday, right here on What's in It for the Black People Media.
Hi, I'm Dr. Willie Wilson, and I'm running for U.S. Senate for the state of Illinois. I will never give up on inclusion and equality, prison reform, reduced property taxes, and economic opportunity for all. I want to get to know your neighborhood and the problem that you face every day. And I want to serve every man, woman, and child in the state of Illinois. A vote for me is a vote for you.
Paid for by Willie Wilson for Senate 2020.
WIFTBPN. Live from What's in It for the Black Media Studio. You're listening to I Said What I Said.
Wait, what did you say?
I said you're listening to I Said What I Said.
I just said that. I know you just said that. That's what I just said. That's what I'm saying to you. Exactly what he just said.
With Herb Howard and Toussaint Werner.
That's about one of the nicest things you ever said.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying.
And we are back live from the What's in It for the Black People Media Studios. This is I Said What I Said. Herb and 2 here with you till 3 o'clock. Thank y'all so very, very much for choosing to be a part of this conversation. It means the absolute world to us. If you have not done so, please, please, please share the conversation. We would greatly, greatly appreciate it. Please, please, please share. We would really, really appreciate y'all. Listen, I seen Tiger call Herb and 2 23 and 33 of What's in It for the Black People Media. If you aren't not sure, that means that we are the Jordan and Pippen of What's in It for the Black People Media. So
that's about right. That's about right.
More confirmation that I said that Wiz is absolutely.
Who's Mays? Who would Mays be? B.J. Armstrong?
Mays.
He would be B.J. Armstrong.
What was Randy Brown at?
On the bench. He was on the bench.
Yeah,
you know. What season are we talking about?
Okay, first 3-peat or second 3-peat? It got to be the first 3-peat for Mays.
We want to put him on the 96 team. Let's give him Tony Kukoc. You want to give him that? That's too tough. That's too much.
No,
that's too much pressure.
That's too much. Let's give him like Bobby Hansen or something. Give him Judd Bushler or something like that.
Bushler.
Hit him with a Dickie Simpkins or something like that.
Simpkins.
You know what, bro? I seen a Dickie Simpkins jersey one day in my life, and I knew for sure as soon as I saw it, I said, that person has to know Dickie Simpkins personally. There's no way you walked in the store and saw a Dickie Simpkins jersey. That has to be your father.
Hey, you remember Cliff Levingston?
Yes, I remember Cliff Levingston.
So, you know, in the league,
good for me.
He was fairly trash, right? I mean, he was. I mean, you know what I'm saying? He wasn't
right.
He was a role player at best. But I swear to God, I seen Cliff Levingston playing the pro-ams.
Oh.
And that man looked like Mike Jordan, G. It was amazing what that man could do.
No, let's not listen. It
was amazing. But it ain't even about the competition. It's really more about the skill set, which kind of puts it in context how the league really works, right? It's all kind of motherfuckers just really super. Tony Allen, for example, right?
Cool.
Tony Allen, the Chicago boy. In the league, he's only known for defense, but at the crib, this motherfucker was a scoring machine. You understand what I'm saying? But it's funny how the league works. So even calling Mays Cliff Levingston doesn't mean Mays is trash.
Oh.
He just plays his position very well.
Yeah, he just, you know, when he's on the court with Jordan and Scottie, he don't look all that good.
It's
but
different.
You put him in the gym with a bunch of niggas out 63rd, he's finna go crazy. Listen, man, let's get into it. Donald Trump, President of the United States of America. President of the United States of America that is built on the Constitution of the United States of America, which says that presidents are limited to 2 terms as president. 1, 2. Donald Trump, prior to securing his second term, is already saying that he should have a 3rd term. Now, before we get into the logistics of how that's possible or why that may be necessary or how you even go about it, can we just talk about the gumption that it takes for the man to come out and say that even before his second one? Like, I'm finna definitely beat this old dimension motherfucker right here. Like, I ain't even worried about Joe Biden. But I should have another one after that.
But I don't even know if he believes that, though.
Don't matter.
But I think I've heard Cornel West talk about this before, and he says that we're in an election between fascism and neoliberalism. And in a lot of ways, Trump does kind of represent this kind of ego-driven, you know, omnipotent rule kind of philosophy.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And I know it's insanity. I know it is, right? But it's also that kind of ego is what pulls the wool from the eyes of the sheep. You know what I mean? I think the greatest effect that racism has had on black folks in America is creating a paradigm where they don't really fully grasp that they're in this racist paradigm.
Okay.
Right. It's the nearly fuller quote that we use every day.
Come with it, please, and thank you.
Until you fully understand white supremacy, what it is and how it works, everything you think you understand will only confuse you.
Everything.
Right. So, you know, pre-Trump, you know, even let's say Obama era, right? There's this kind of idealistic view of what it means to be black in America. When really being black in America, or at least the caste system that was created, has not changed since 1619, since we showed up on the shores of Jamestown.
Mm-hmm.
So when Trump takes office, the kind of vigor and audacious ass behavior that he has,
right?
It kind of it just kind of comes back to the surface, right? That you are a nigga. You know what I mean? And I know that's harsh to say, but that's the reality. You are a nigga. You have no value in the lexicon.
Right.
Right? Not in the context of how America sees value.
No.
Right? You were predicated into this caste system, and you've been there since you got here, and you've not moved beyond it. Mm-hmm. We talk about the numbers all the time. You know, a dual income household in black America, income-wise, is barely busting $35,000, $40,000 a year. So that's 2 earners who can't get to $20,000 apiece. You know what I mean? In 2020, in a capitalist system, a hyper capitalist system. You know, when you start thinking about the median net worth of the black family, you take away the family car, you rocking with about $1,700. You're looking at the median net worth of a white family, you at $149,000. And those are not the same worlds.
No.
You know what I mean? And they've never been the same worlds.
And not only have you not ascended out of that initial state that you were cast into, but we no longer even need that caste anymore. Right, so at least when we needed that caste, you provided some value, you provided some service, you had some level of value attached to your existence. We don't even have that anymore, and so now we really don't give a fuck. We really don't give a fuck what happens to you, and we'll show you that in every aspect possible. Whether you talk about it's the settlement for Breonna Taylor's murder, or you talk about just the blatant killing of a George Floyd, or any other aspect of our society. You talk about education, pick one, right? We can show you blatantly we don't give a fuck. We don't have to, and we don't. And I think that is the same caucasity that Donald Trump moves through the Oval Office with. And I think that if 44 had moved the way 45 does, perhaps we'd be in a different state of being for black people in this country. But that's assuming that 44 would have wanted the same thing that most ADOS people want.
In regards to legislation, 44 did move in the same way that Donald Trump moves.
No.
In regards to legislation. Right?
In what way?
So this is what happened, right? There's this kind of leftist view and this kind of right-wing view, right? But in reality, right, we've moved so far to the right that the left is really, we've moved so far center to the right that there's no such thing as a left view no more. It's only right and far right. So all that right-wing legislation elevates or benefits the white populace, right? So we talk a lot about reparations. If we're gonna talk about 44, we're gonna be honest about it. Shit. If we just take, if they say we owe, if they say we're owed up to, let's say, I don't know, I've seen estimates up to like between 12. I saw an estimate today for like $70 trillion. Estimate for reparations, right? But I've seen the logical or the reasonable conversation I've seen is like between 12 and like 30, right? And I'm saying reasonable because I just don't believe America would pay out anyway, right? But if you look at those numbers, and you do the math from like, I think it's from like 1990, and I know, let's say from from like 95 to like the end of 44's term. There were more billionaires made in that time period than any other time period in America. And we start doing the math on how wealth circulated, it breaks down to about as much money as they owe us in reparations.
Sure it does.
That only happens via legislation.
Right.
That only happens via legislation.
No other way.
No other way, right? So when you start thinking about black wealth specifically, right, during Obama's term, and I'm not trying to shit on Obama because it's the past at this point, right?
Facts
but it is
facts.
what it is, right? We lost more black wealth during Obama's term than any other presidential candidate. Not the presidential candidate, but any other president. You know what I mean? I think at that time, Roseland was the highest foreclosed community in America. So when you start thinking about the bailouts that Obama did, when he bailed out the corporations and didn't bail out the people, that was our wealth leaving our communities.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So in regards to being in America, the value asset to being in America is essentially having some goddamn capital. If you ain't got no capital to undergird your community, then what are you?
Let me ask you this, just parenthetically. Do you think that Barack Obama was too concerned with not being too black, not wanting to come across as too black or too left-leaning or too black favorable in many of his decisions that he ended up kind of accidentally leaning too far right, and now you get to that place where you're talking about now it's you got the far right and the middle and no real left at all, right? Unless you're talking about the extremists and those type of things.
I think that's who he is in general, right? We gotta have, again, context matters.
Sure.
Right? Obama was born and raised in Hawaii, Indonesia, and Kansas. I just made a joke with you outside. I said black people live in about 4 places in America.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Anywhere outside of those 4 places, their blackness is questionable to me.
Yeah.
And I was making a joke.
Yeah.
But it's a joke that's based in some
a lot of truth is said in jest.
Right? Yeah. And again, culturally, ethnically black for sure. Culturally, how many black people was in Hawaii? How many black people was in Indonesia?
Right.
For that matter, how many black people was in fucking Kansas? Right. So your experience, no matter what, is different, and you experience whatever you experience.
Is this the illest nigga in Nebraska?
Right. So whatever you experience, though, you also experience through the lens of having a white mother, Right. You also experienced through the lens of having a white grandparents that was a staple in your life, right? You also got left $500,000 I don't want to say settlement, but an inheritance from your grandparents when they died. So part of the connotation of being black in America is fully grasping and understanding what poverty really looks like.
That's real.
Right?
That's real.
So if you not experienced that, you look at the world through a different kind of lens.
Yeah,
you just talked about, you saw the documentary the other day.
Social Dilemma.
Social Dilemma.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And one of the things the social dilemma talks about, which is very interesting, is that the social media world starts to dictate behavior, right? It creates a lens. So when you're talking to somebody who's only tuned into the right or only tuned into Fox News, and you fighting with them and say, man, why can't you fucking understand what I'm talking about? And they really don't understand because they've never been exposed. It's not part of their experience. So because you've not been exposed to that conceptually, all you hear is the right-wing Fox theories. Right, so it does go back to you black people already get welfare. You black people already get this. You black people already get that. And the assumption is that that is truth, right?
Yeah.
So when your lens is shaped through the lens of Indonesia, shaped through the lens of Kansas, shaped through the lens of Hawaii, and functioning capital, I think you come to the gate with a skewed viewpoint.
Yeah, but you don't. I agree with that. Right, I tend to agree that it's more his natural character more so than he was, trying too hard not to seem like, oh, I'm trying to cheat for the black people, even though, why the fuck not? Like, I'm telling you right now, I get in office, I'm for anything. I'm cheating for the black people, right? I'm letting you know, right, in the gate. But that wasn't his experience from birth, so why would that be his experience once he got to the Oval Office? I understand that. I just wanted to bring that up real quick. You mentioned Social Dilemma. I did get a chance to watch it last night. You had recommended it, I think on Monday's show or maybe on Friday's show, and so I did go ahead and watch it, and wow, okay, eye-opening. If you have not yet seen it, you need to see Social Dilemma. It's available on Netflix, and essentially it's just telling you how the world, I was going to say America, but really the world and all of its major corporations and people who are in power are using social media, the likes of Instagram, Facebook, even YouTube and TikTok, all the rest of them. They're using all of these different platforms to greatly influence and also predict not only, right, philosophies, but behaviors.
I don't even know if predict is the right term. I would say dictate.
They're dictating your behavior.
Right. One of the most interesting parts of that documentary to me was that when they talked about what's the product. Yeah. There was the guy with all the hair. He was like, man, what's the product? Yeah. Right? What's the product? Yeah. We kind of think of it as our data, but that would be a bad business model to sell our data. Because once you have our data, then what you need them for is a service provider. Right. So it's not our data. It's not our data. It's us. They're legitimately dictating our behavior. You know what I mean?
He also said in that same thing, he said, if you are not paying for it, then you are the product.
You are the product.
If you aren't paying for the product, you are the product, right? And so that is certainly the case with all these platforms. Listen, we got to take a break. When we come back, I pulled a couple of sound bites from Social Dilemma last night that I want to play for you, a couple that I found to be particularly interesting. When we come back, we'll play those sound drops because all of those things, everything that I heard in Social Dilemma really ties into all the conversations that we're having today, whether you talk about Trump, whether you talk about Breonna Taylor, whatever, all of these different issues, they're tied in to these things. Cardi B, just the same. I'm going to play those sound clips for you, get into this conversation. This is I Said What I Said, Herb and Tool here with you to 3 o'clock. We'll be right back after this.
WIFTBPM. Hi, I'm Dr. Willie Wilson. So many politicians are bought by special interests and major corporations instead of the citizens who elected them. I will not be bought. I will finance my own campaign in good faith to the voters of Illinois and promise to serve with integrity at all times. I'm asking for your support as I run for U.S. Senator in 2020.
Paid for by Willie Wilson for Senate 2020.
You can expect the unexpected.
We're getting pushed up to 200. Let's get these numbers up, people. Come on. We're trying to compete with Mays Jackson numbers, right?
Don't forget,
we're lacking right now.
If you share it,
share the video so we can get our numbers. For God's sake, we're nowhere near Mays Jackson numbers. If we can get you guys to share, we can at least push 200 in the next 3 minutes. All right? By 3:45, I want us to be at 200.
Oh, yeah.
This is
the black portion of What's in It for the Black People Radio
that
right
we can
here.
do the
This
dime.
is the black portion, the blackest portion of the show.
It's What's in It for the Black People Media.
Chicago famous. 3 to 6, Monday through Friday, right here on What's in It for the Black People Media.
Biggest threat to Illinois citizens from Washington is health care costs and policies. Senior citizens have their Social Security reduced from Medicaid. And some of our senior citizens live off $3 a week for food allowance. Working families are facing bankruptcy over policy and limit and cost. Drug prices require decisions between food and Medicaid. I'm Dr. Willie Wilson. Vote for me and send me to Washington. God bless.
Paid for by Willie Wilson for Senate 2020.
Now you can join Milwaukee's World on
Monday, Wednesday, and Friday
from 11 to 1 on What's in It for the Black People Media.
Shop at Black-owned and operated Solo Beauty, where you are appreciated and respected. Located at 8158 South Cottage Grove, Solo Beauty can supply all of your black hair care needs. Solo Beauty is open from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. Tuesday through Saturday, or you can find them online at solobeauty.com.
WIIFTVPN. Live from What's in It for the Black Media Studio. You're listening to I Said What I Said.
Wait, what did you say?
I said you're listening to I Said What I Said.
I just said that. I know you just said that. That's what I just said. That's what I'm saying to you. Exactly what he just said.
With Herb Howard and Toussaint Werner.
That's about one of the nicest things you've ever said.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying.
And we are back live from the What's in It for the Black People Media Studios. This is I Said What I Said. Herb Howard, Toussaint Werner here with you every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 1 to 3 p.m. Thank you all so very, very much for tuning in. We greatly appreciate you all choosing to hang out with us and be a part of the conversation. As always, your input is valued. It is certainly appreciated. Anything you want to add to the conversation, feel free to leave in the comments. We will read through as many of them as possible as we go through the show. Also, please take a quick moment, if you have not already done so, to share the conversation. Share it to your personal page. Share it even within your personal network. We would greatly appreciate you all helping to continue to grow the I Said What I Said family. We truly appreciate y'all. Thank y'all also for tuning in over on YouTube as well as on the I Said What I Said page. We appreciate you all. Two, we're talking about Donald Trump and his declaration that he deserves a third term even before he secured a second term. And, you know, a lot of the conversations that we're going to have, whether you're talking about Donald Trump, Breonna Taylor, Cardi B, and the like, this social media plays a huge role in it. It really plays a huge role in every single aspect of our lives right now. You referenced the documentary that's available on Netflix right now, Social Dilemma. I had the opportunity to watch it last night. I found it to be really eye-opening and mind-blowing, right? In terms of just trying to reflect and assess how I use my own phone and devices and how I'm impacted by these things and influenced, and how my own behavior is dictated by many of these things. There was a clip that I really wanted to share with the IsWiz family. And so, Esco, if you could pull up that clip, please, and thank you, ma'am.
No one got upset when bicycles showed up, right? Like, everyone started to go around on bicycles. No one said, oh my God, we've just ruined society. Like, bicycles are affecting people. They're pulling people away from their kids. They're ruining the fabric of democracy. People can't tell what's true. Like, we never said any of that stuff about a bicycle. If something is a tool, it genuinely is just sitting there, waiting patiently. If something is not a tool, it's demanding things from you. It's seducing you. It's manipulating you. It wants things from you. And we've moved away from having a tools-based technology environment to an addiction and manipulation-based technology environment. That's what's changed. Social media isn't a tool that's just waiting to be used. It has its own goals, and it has its own means of pursuing them by using your psychology against it.
So he's referring to, you know, he says You know, when the bicycle was invented, nobody was upset, right? Nobody got upset about the bicycle being invented. Then he juxtaposed that to how this social media and this technology is being used. And he's saying, listen, if it's because they'll say, oh, it's just a tool for people to go out there and use, you know, to search things or to connect to other people. And it's a useful tool for many people to use. And his argument was that, well, if it's just a tool, right? Tools generally just sit there until you need it. They sit there, they wait patiently until you need the tool. Social media, it's not a tool, right? It's not just sitting there waiting for you to come use it. It is constantly using you for its own agenda, for its own purpose. That's completely different from a tool.
And also, I think we got to change the language, though, too. It's not just social media, right? It's the digital platform. It's the digital space, right? So what it said was it's an addiction and manipulation device.
Yes.
Right, so the question really becomes, are you using the tool or is the tool using you?
It's using you.
It's using you. You know what I mean? And again, like you said, it shapes thought and behavior.
Sure.
Right? So think about it again, back to, you know, my professional life, right? In marketing, right? When you start thinking about marketing, you start thinking about design, right? Colors have certain effects on your brain. Legitimately, imaging and messaging dictates behavior. Right? So when you start thinking about, and I said this before when we was on here before, I said the Bible legitimately changed the world, right? Because really the Bible was really the first form of media. People began to learn to read, they could start questioning things. You know what I mean? So as media transforms, every time it transforms, the world transforms, right? Radio, messages started spreading faster. TV. Now think about it just from the scientific manipulation of the mind.
Sure.
Right? You listening to the radio, you hearing the frequency of sound waves,
sure,
right? But your brain has to conjure images,
right,
to
associate with those sounds,
those sounds, right? Then comes the formation of television. Now your brain doesn't have to do that work because they're going to give you the image to associate with the sound, right? That's why they call the TV the idiot box, because it legitimately prevented you from thinking. You didn't have to think anymore.
It's programming too.
It's programming you to tell. It's teaching you what to think, right? So then you get into the social media phase where it's on demand. On demand, anything you want to see all day long on demand. So you think you're driving your interest, and then the logarithm starts to focus on what you choose. And then it starts feeding you similarities to the thing you choose. And you start to shape a world around your own world in real life. It's legitimately just your world, your view of the world. And that's not really legitimately how the world operates.
Yeah, right? No, we weren't designed.
Your truth is not the truth.
No.
You know what I mean?
No, there are many sides to that thing that you should want to be aware of, whether you agree with it or not. But they're also using it in many other ways, right? So they're using it to manipulate your emotional responses to certain things. They understand, they learn you better than you even know yourself. And that's why you hear them say these things happen without the consumer actually even being aware that these things are going on. And so they're using things like, oh, well, this dude is looking at, and this is all in documentary, this dude is looking at pictures of his ex-partner, right? He's looking at pictures of his ex all night. What time is it? Oh, he's lonely. He's sad, right? And now they got these facial recognition technology, and so they look at it. Oh, that's a sad face, and so they can understand exactly what you're feeling based off what you're looking at, and then they use that information to further manipulate your behavior. And they say, okay, he needs to see this. Boom, pop that in his face. And then he gets happy. And then they're like, oh, yeah, he clicked on it. Oh, he commented. Oh,
I don't know if you saw this part. I can't remember the exact name of the class, but there was all these guys who are high-ranking digital space entrepreneurs.
Yeah, he said, I know y'all geniuses.
In Harvard, right?
Yeah.
And it was like a class to teach you human behavior, mental behavior, right? It's like a psychology kind of class, right? And they leverage additives on the web in any space, like on social media, it might be the like button, it might be hearts, it might be stars for that matter, right?
Sure.
But it feeds the brain like sugar. It creates a level of dopamine,
absolutely,
right? And just like any other drug, that's what it does. It raises the levels of dopamine, so you keep craving this shit.
It says that only 2 industries in our world use the term users to describe the consumers of that industry. One industry is narcotics, illegal, like drug users, and the other is technology, right? Those are only 2 terms, those are only 2 industries that use the term users to describe the people who consume their product. And, it's absolutely right. You become addicted to these things in a way that you don't even realize. And I know that there's, in a way, it could seem it's hypocritical, right? Here we are. using technology on a social media platform, right, to communicate to people and to have a conversation that we feel is critically important, right? But then that becomes how you try and find the balance between using the product or the product
and
using
being used.
Right. And I think that for me, as I was watching the thing, I became really, really aware of, how the thing is using me. And then I said, okay, well, I have to be very, very intentional about just making sure that I'm using it and it is not using me. Now, obviously, it's still going to gather some information from me if I'm using it at all, right? But I can be less of a participant in me being used and just more about, okay, how can I use this to benefit me, right? We think this conversation is valuable. It's valuable to be able to reach so many people. That's super, super dope. But then all the rest of the things around it, that's what we got to be careful about, right? Because I think there is value in being able to pick up your phone and say, okay, what's in this product, or how do I spell this word, or who produced this song, right? There's some value in those types of things. But then when all the other stuff begins to manipulate you and predict your outcomes, to that class that you were talking about, the professor at the beginning of the class, wherever he was at the beginning of the class, he says, listen, I know a lot of you all sitting in this lecture hall right now are geniuses. He's like, I believe that to be absolutely true. Many of you all in here are literal geniuses. But what I'm trying to teach you to do is become a genius of predicting and manipulating behavior, right? And you got some of the smartest people in the world intensely focusing on how to manipulate your behavior through technology, through things that you use all the time.
But you know what, though? We're talking about this from the construct of technology.
Sure.
Right? But this is just really human existence in a lot of ways, too. Right? This isn't a new strategy. This is why we're in the position we're in as black people in America in the first place.
Yeah.
Right? In my opinion, racism is the greatest marketing campaign this man has ever invented. Period. Right? Which goes directly back to the quote from Neely Fuller, right? Until you fully understand white supremacy, what it is and how it works, everything you think you understand will only confuse you. We just lost the feed. I don't know why we lost the feed, but we lost the feed. I think Herb pushed the button.
I did nothing.
As soon as you touched it,
The social media. Oh no, the robots are taking over.
Right, social media, the robots is taking over. Can you relaunch?
Yeah, I'm trying to figure it
Or
out.
can we
Go ahead.
relaunch? But to that point about racism being the strongest, y'all are still rocking on the I Said What I Said page, man. We apologize. We had an issue where we dropped y'all.
WIIFTBPM. I'm Dr. Willie Wilson. Tax burden of the average middle-class American goes way beyond income taxes. There are sales taxes, real estate taxes, gasoline taxes, and many, many more. As an international businessman, I know that by reducing the billions of dollars we give to other countries, we could help fund our own country. We need to rethink our tax laws and lower the taxes for our own citizens.
Paid for by Willie Wilson for Senate 2020.
Boys, step aside. The Radio Rookie is in the building. The Book of Dawn, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. on What's In It for the Black People Media.
You can expect the unexpected.
We're getting pushed up to 200. Let's get these numbers up, people. Come on. We're trying to compete with Mays Jackson numbers, right?
Don't forget,
we're lacking right now.
If you share it,
share the video so we can get our numbers. For God's sake, we're nowhere near Mays Jackson numbers. If we can get you guys to share, we can at least push 200 in the next 3 minutes. All right? By 3:45, I want us to be at 200.
Oh, yeah. This is the black portion of What's In It for the Black People Radio.
That we can do the
This
time.
is the black portion, the blackest portion of the show.
It's What's In It for the Black People Media.
Chicago famous. 3 to 6, Monday through Friday, right here on What's In It for the Black People Media.
Hi, I'm Dr. Willie Wilson. So many politicians are bought by special interests and major corporations instead of the citizens who elected them. I would not be bought. I would finance my own campaign in good faith to the voters of Illinois and promise to serve with integrity at all times. I'm asking for your support as I run for U.S. Senator in 2020.
Paid for by Willie Wilson for Senate 2020.
Cootie Simmons, of course. I just knew you as Cootie,
right,
from Channel Zero.
I mean, that's how we know him. We just know him as Cootie.
Now let's talk about this joint that you guys recently dropped. You directed the Stephon Marbury documentary, A Kid from Coney Island, that's on Netflix right now.
When they came to us about the project, I was like, Stephon Marbury, I'm thinking Tim Hardaway. I'm like, man, Marcus Liberty. I'm like, Stephon, I don't know New York. I don't know Steph. All right, I'm thinking exactly. I know how to tell the Chicago story good,
Chicago famous. 3 to 6, Monday through Friday, right here on What's In It for the Black People Media.
This secure moment is brought to you by Secure Home and Automation, your premier authorized Bring security dealer. Home invasions occur every 23 seconds, fire every 85 seconds, and medical emergencies occur suddenly. In times like these, get secured home and automation and an affordable wireless home alarm system with professional monitoring. This includes fast emergencies response, free security analysis, free equipment, and free installation. A limited time offer, be proactive. Call today, don't delay. 708-251-5069. That's 708-251-5069. Call now, 708-251-5069, or visit our website, securehomeandautomation.com. Secure Home and Automation, where your life safety is our priority. It brings authorized dealers. Certain restrictions apply.
WIFTBPN. Live from What's In It for the Black Media Studio. You're listening to I Said What I Said.
Wait, what did you say?
I said you're listening to I Said What I Said.
I just said that. I know you just said that. That's what I just said. That's what I'm saying to you. Exactly what he just said.
With Herb Howard and Toussaint Werner.
That's about one of the nicest things you've ever said.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying.
And we are back. We are back live from the What's In It for the Black People Media Studios. This is I Say What I Said. Herb Howard, Toussaint Werner here with you up until 3 o'clock. Thank y'all so very, very much for choosing to tune in and be a part of the conversation. It means a whole lot to us. Thank y'all so much for popping back in. We had lost the feed for a second. It dropped off, and we are back, and we greatly appreciate you guys.
Won't let us be great, G. They won't let us be great.
Yeah, you can't sit here and talk all that shit about technology and think it's not going to slap you.
No, G. The devil, G.
We talked all that shit. They're like, oh, really?
The devil.
Don't use it then. Like, okay, we said there's some value in it. Fucking lax. We just don't want y'all to be using us like fucking pawns in y'all Ponzi scheme.
The devil.
The devil.
It's the devil.
The devil. Listen, the devil also is in the details. And the good brother Mike Brown, host of Triggered right here on What's In It for the Black People Media, Tuesdays and Thursdays, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Yesterday during his show, as Mike tends to do on Triggered, he upset me a little bit, and he was going deep on this timeline about Breonna Taylor's comings and goings leading up to her being murdered in her apartment by the Louisville Police Department. And to Mike's credit, he just laid the story out, right? He gave facts of an investigation, and that part of it is fine. But it seemed as though, and more importantly than what it seemed like Mike was doing, is that what I know that the powers that be in Louisville are using it to do, you put the victim on trial here, right? You put the deceased on trial to say, well, she was into some shit. It's like, so like how does that, what does that have to do with her being killed in her apartment? How does that justify that, right? And it really, really doesn't. But you put her on trial. You say, well, she was associated and she was affiliated with all of these drug dealers, alleged drug dealers, and she rented these cars, and all these different DARS charges were rented in her name, and we saw her coming into this apartment, and we saw this drug dealer coming into her apartment, and she had to be caught up in the drug ring. And if this was a RICO charge, she would have been swooped up along with everybody else. That's fine, but it wasn't a RICO charge. RICO charges are bullshit in the first place, if you ask me. If you can't, don't come arrest everybody because you can't do your fucking job. Do your fucking job. Catch that man, right? You so sure he's a drug dealer? Catch him. You can't catch him, so they come up with a new law. Like we say all the time, when you are in control of the game, you can change the rules as you go. So it don't really matter what the initial written rules are. Same like you talk about Trump and the Constitution. Don't really matter what the initial written rules are. We control the game. We'll change it as we see fit. And so when the war on drugs was first started, they thought they had everything they need to round these people up. And the drug dealers got smart. And now we can't really catch them. They aren't really going around the drugs. They aren't really going around the money. We can't catch them at the drug deal. We can't catch them with a raid. So now we're just going to put all this hearsay around it and be able to prove that we're pretty sure that they are the ringleader of this drug operation. And so we're going to lock them all up. I think the RICO Act in totality is complete bullshit. But that aside, even if she was an active participant in an ongoing criminal criminal organization, right? How does that give y'all the right to go in her apartment and kill her, right? It does not, right? That doesn't give you the right to go in there and be judge, jury, and executioner with this no-knock warrant and then say, oh, well, he fired first, so we're just going to unload our clips into this lady's house, kill her, nobody's going to be charged for it, right? That's no excuse. And then now that she's dead, like you said, you don't leave no person to tell the other side of the story. You kill that motherfucker. They killed her. She can't tell her side of the story. And so now they go about painting her as a co-conspirator in this drug ring, although you can't prove it, right? She was at some addresses, and and a couple cars were rented in her name.
So Cherie made a statement in the comments a little earlier before we lost the feed about being the model minority.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
And what that is a reflection of how we've internalized how white supremacy works.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
I struggle with this conversation because it's a nuanced conversation. It really is a nuanced conversation, right? And it's not even based in Breonna Taylor. It's just really kind of based in the struggle in which black life is. Right? There's a struggle to be ingratiated into a caste system. There's a struggle to merely survive. Mm-hmm. Right? So Mays also talked about it was the first time in his life where he's read the word trap house inside of a news publication.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And they're shaping narratives with using language like that. Right? So one of the questions I asked when Mike Brown was going through, his commentary was that why, because basically the breakdown is this, apparently Breonna Taylor had some guy that she was dealing with in Louisville, who was a dope boy. You know what I mean? She had a kind of off-one relationship with the dude, and how that works. You the girl of the dope boy, you probably got a few things in your name.
Yeah.
You might have kept a couple dollars from him every now and then.
Yeah.
I don't know the details.
We can pull your voice off of jailhouse phone interactions.
Right. I don't got to be in Louisville to understand that because it happens on 95th Street. It happens on 79th Street. It happens on 87th Street. You know what I mean?
Sure.
But context is so important, right? And it goes into every conversation we always have, right? We even in the relationship conversations, and we talk about how capitalism is so powerful that it makes everybody a transactional person, right? Mm-hmm. So the dope boy is usually appealing to most of the women in the hood.
Thought you were referring to Andrew Gillum, that politics is so powerful and turns everybody into a trend. Never mind.
Yeah, you went too far. But even the fact that they are appealing to the women in the hood because everything's a transaction, and these are the only people who look like they're winning. You know what I mean? It just is what it is. And in a lot of senses, they are probably the only people that's winning, specifically in those age brackets and in those demographics. And when you start to get to towns like Louisville, where the black population is probably null and void, and we know we don't work in the private sector, so in Louisville, a good job is probably Hardee's. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Not being funny or facetious, that's real. I've lived in small town America, right? Those people are surviving off fast food jobs, specifically the black populace, right? But we never asked the question of how we got to that space. We just started judging people for surviving the space.
Right.
right? And that's a fallacy. That's a half-hearted argument for me.
Yeah, you aren't even trying to get into it, really.
It's a half-hearted argument, which is why in context it's bullshit. You'll never be the model minority because all of the odds are stacked against you. Right. No matter. I just told you the other day I was riding in the car with me and Eric. Eric had his shirt off because he got stung by a goddamn bee. Right. Because of COVID, my hair has grown much longer than I ever keep my hair. The police pulled me over. I just so happened not to have my license, and I knew that because I tried to stop and get my kids some food. When they walked up on the car, I said, "Officer, I don't even have my license, but I was trying to get my kids some food, and I just realized that, so I don't know how we're going to proceed." My man said, "You all right, just go forward." But the reality of it is that you had no viable reason to pull my car over.
Sure he did. He saw your big black ass. He saw Eric's big black ass. He saw your long hair, his no shirt.
And he had his goddamn shirt off.
Yeah.
So the crime was blackness. The crime was blackness on 79th Street. Because being black on 79th Street is a fucking, it's a crime. It's a criminal offense.
It is.
Right? That's the nuance of how race works. That's how
it's certainly reasonable suspicion. Right, just to be black in America is reasonable suspicion off GP, and so but if you, my thing is, why put her on trial, right? And I get it from
because
a criminal, I get it from a criminal defense lawyer's perspective, right? My client's on trial. I need to go figure out how to put the victim on trial and say, "Oh, this motherfucker is a terrible person anyway. He's not even worth seeking justice for. She's not worth seeking justice for." But in lieu of that ever happening, they're putting her on trial. And Mike laid that case out for them perfectly yesterday. And again, this ain't really to argue with Mike. There's plenty of things for me to argue with Mike on. This is not really one of them. He was just laying the case out. But I thought that he, as well as what I know Louisville's going to do, were putting the deceased on trial. And I think that is absolutely wrong. It doesn't matter what type of life she was living. It did not give them the right to walk into her house and kill her, right? And I think that on one hand, Mike was trying to inform people and educate young women about, the circles that and the company that they keep and trying to keep them out of certain situations.
So I want to kind of provide some pushback, though.
Sure.
You said it does not matter. It doesn't give them the right. What I'm arguing is that it absolutely gives them the right. We just don't understand our positioning in America.
Well, in that case, we don't got no rights, right? They can do whatever the fuck they want to do.
But we don't.
Right. They can do whatever the fuck they want to do.
They do.
Yeah,
and
they
it's
do.
Been proven over and over again, right? So
right, but they can do that regardless of her, activities is what I'm saying.
I had this thought to myself, right? They got 12 million, right? They're going to walk with maybe 8 of that. What does justice really look like, though? What amount of money suffices? Is there amount of money?
Right.
Or what else could be justified as justice?
Right.
What does justice look like?
Right.
So as a father, right, I don't think that there's any healing from that kind of a wound, but I don't know if justice will be what I would be looking for or retribution is what I would be looking for. I don't know which one it would be. I don't even know what justice in that kind of a case would look like. I'm not sure.
I don't think you mean. I think justice would just be saying, "Listen, y'all fucked up, going in there guns blazing like that, and y'all killed this woman."
That wouldn't be justice for me.
What would justice be?
It would look like retribution to me. Justice would look like retribution, and again, that wouldn't be a cleansing or healing. But I think that's the only thing I could justify as being valid enough for me to even consider. You can't pay for my child's life. You can't pay for my son's life. You can't pay for my daughter's life. You can't pay for their promise.
No, I get that.
Right? You couldn't heal that wound. But just the rage that would take over me, only thing that I could see that would be viable would be retribution.
Yeah, no, I gotta see bloodshed, right? That's the only thing that's gonna relax me in this moment, right? And even that's not gonna relax me. But just you not being around this motherfucker is something for me, right? This money is nothing for me. You not being here, just like my loved one not being here, that works for me, right? And I know a lot of people say, well, that's too far. Y'all going too far. Y'all talking about killing cops.
I'm just asking the question. I'm not specifically talking about killing cops. I'm just trying to figure out, right? No matter what these cases come up every 2-3 months at this point now. It's becoming a regular occurrence. And these are only the cases that are popularized. They happen in every goddamn day.
Right.
Right. So even though they're happening every day and we're having this conversation, we keep having this conversation about justice. And I'm trying to get us to an understanding of what would justice be. What does justice look like? Right? Because you start to hear these conversations of the comparison of the cash she got versus the comparison of the cash the Quan and them got versus the comparison of even the Australian lady got. But what the fuck amount of money suffices? Or does money suffice at all? I just really want to, I don't know what justice looks like in this sense.
I think that plays into the larger conversation of black people. Do we really know what we value, right? Do we really know what we want in any given situation, right? Because a lot of people say it's the check. A lot of people say it's retribution, right? In terms of like physical retribution. Like I want my lick back type shit, right? And then other people will say, well, she was wrong, right? A lot of people will buy into the narrative that Mike was laying out yesterday, right? And I think that until we're able to have that singular identity and understand exactly what it is that we want, we'll continue to be manipulated not only through technology, not only through criminal justice, but also through politics. And that's why you see things like Kamala Harris wearing Timberlands, right? And constantly throwing on all of her AKA gear and wearing these Howard hoodies and all this bullshit we haven't seen her do up until she became the vice presidential candidate on this ticket, only because they need the black vote. When we come back from this break, we're going to get into that conversation about Kamala Harris rocking her Timbs. Why is she trying so hard to show that she's so damn black, even though What's in it for the Black People Media asked her directly, what's in it for black people for y'all campaign? And we got a whole bunch of bullshit. This is I Said What I Said. My name is Herb. His name is Tu. We'll be right back after this.
WIFTVPM. Shop at Black-owned and operated Solo Beauty, where you are appreciated and respected. Located at 8158 South Cottage Grove, Solo Beauty can supply all of your black hair care needs. Solo Beauty is open from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. Tuesday through Saturday, or you can find them online at solobeauty.com.
Are you curious to explore the intellectual currents that channel our thoughts and frame our reality? Have you ever meditated for relaxation and accidentally discovered the universe in the process? These matters and many more you may never have even thought of will be yours to explore as you come with me into Muwakil's world. Every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 11 to 1, right here on What's in It for the Black People Media.
This secure moment is brought to you by Secure Home and Automation, your premier authorized Bring security dealer. Home invasions occur every 23 seconds, fire every 85 seconds, and medical emergencies occur suddenly. In times like these, get secured home and automation and an affordable wireless home alarm system with professional monitoring. This includes fast emergencies response, free security analysis, free equipment, and free installation. A limited time offer, be proactive. Call today, don't delay. 708-251-5069. That's 708-251-5069. Call now, 708-251-5069, or visit our website, securehomeandautomation.com. Secure Home and Automation, where your life safety is our priority. It brings authorized dealers, certain restrictions apply.
Hang out with Chicago famous Mike Love and Diz 3 to 6 p.m. right here on What's in It for the Black People Media, live on the Mace Jackson page. So shout out to Chicago famous. They did their thing. They did a phenomenal job. Those brothers, listen, radio legends, right? And you come in and you used to doing things one way and trying to flip it and do another way. They handled it seamlessly, man. So shout out to Mike Love and Diz for holding it down as they always have done. Welcome to the What's in It for the Black People Media family. Good luck at achieving number 2 status for the second best show on What's in It for the Black People Media, because number 1 is and always will be I Said What I Said.
Always remember, if you ain't first, you're last.
Whenever I play, I want to play to win. I don't see no purpose in playing.
You play to win the game.
What's the word?
In the famous
Can
words
you
of
beat
Herman.
my ass though?
Can you whoop my ass though?
It's really that simple. I don't plan on getting my ass whooped.
Hey, yo, wait a minute. Hey.
Chicago famous
Mike
ain't whoop my ass.
And Chicago
We not
famous
here for no ass whoop.
Yo, what's your problem, man? Y'all are brothers. You ain't supposed to be fighting each other.
We not here for no ass whoop.
That's not what we here for.
We're not here for no ass whoop.
It's not what we here for.
Not at all.
What's up, good people? You're listening to I Said What I Said with Tucson Warner and Herb Howard, live on What's in It for the Black People Media, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 1 p.m. to 3 p.m.
WIFTVPM. Live from What's in It for the Black Media Studio. You're listening to I Said What I Said.
Wait, what did you say?
I said you're listening to I Said What I Said.
I just said that. I know you just said that. That's what I just said. That's what I'm saying to you. Exactly what he just said.
With Herb Howard and Toussaint Werner.
That's about one of the nicest things you've ever said.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying.
And we are live from the What's in It for the Black People Media Studios. This is I Said What I Said. Herb and Tool here with you for about another 35 minutes or so. Thank y'all so much for tuning into the conversation. We greatly appreciate you all being here, and make sure you stick around because coming up next, Chicago famous Mike Love and Diz here every weekday from 3 to 6 p.m. Make sure y'all stick around for that. We have gotten into a conversation. We started the conversation talking about Donald Trump and his declaration that he deserves a third term even before he secures a second term. We've moved into a conversation with a bit of a segue through technology and social media and how we are manipulated and our behaviors are not only predictable, but they are actually dictated for us through the use of said technology, and how those things are also being used to influence us politically, but also influence the outcomes of social justice and criminal justice and social justice as well. Kamala Harris, to that point, vice presidential candidate on Joe Biden's
real
ticket.
quick though, I know you want to jump into the Kamala Harris thing, man. One of the things that I wanted to talk about before we get off the Breonna Taylor thing is one of the things that Benjamin Crump asked for. One of the things they said during the civil case is that there are going to be some reforms implemented, right? Mm-hmm. And he listed the reforms.
And what are they?
And it was officers must wear body cams. When the fuck is that a reform? Wasn't that
right? Wasn't that already
in the budget already?
Right.
That's what I assumed. But that was written into the reforms, right?
Okay.
Another one of the reforms was the commanding officer must approve all warrants. Well, who the fuck was approving them before that? These are the reforms that he's talking about the other day, right? And this is how the nuance of this bullshit conversation happens, right? So the very next ask was not only must officers wear body cams, but they must activate them. What the fuck are you wearing them for?
Yeah.
If they're not activated,
Right.
right? And then I just got, again, back to another question. If there is no consequence to the taking of black life, what the fuck does it matter if it's on film or not? Every one of these shits has been on film.
Don't matter.
It don't fucking matter.
Yeah. And the commander conversation, the body cam conversation, it doesn't really matter. So my cousin is a commander inside the Louisville Police Department. He commands one of their 6 districts. And I haven't been able to call him yet about this because, one, I love him. He's one of my favorite people on this planet. Like, as a person, he's one of my favorite people on this planet. But I'm on record in saying there are no good police. I hate all of them, right? Him included, right? And he's one of my favorite people. I know a lot of good people who happen to be police officers, but there are no good police officers. And I'm telling you, he's one of the most purest souls you'll ever meet in your life. But I still haven't been able to call him because I know when we have that conversation, like, there's a potential that I'm not going to talk to him again, right? You know what I'm saying? Because, like, I know how upset I'm going to be about it, and I know that he's going to come from a perspective of, well, this is what was going on, this is what was going on. I don't know if Breonna Taylor lived in his district or not, because I haven't even been able to go that far into it with him yet. But I'm getting closer and closer to actually just being able to call him and say what's up, what's going on with this thing. I would invite him on the show. I know he's not going to be able to come, but I will invite him, right? I will invite him. I'm sure he's going to tell me that, you know, they got some type of gag order in the department and they can't fucking speak on the shit, right? But now the civil case is settled, maybe. Either way, I'll ask him. I haven't been able to do so. I haven't brought myself to be able to do so just yet. But I just think that, you know, the onus has to fall on black people to say what we will and will not put up with anymore. It has to come from us. It's not going to come from legislation. It's not going to come from within these departments. It's not going to come from within these city governments or state governments or national or at the national level either. That's not where it's going to come from. It's only going to come if we are able to unify and organize in a way that we can clearly demand what it is that we want and then be able to deliver a sufficient enough consequence if our demands are not met. That's the only way this thing changes. And to be quite honest with you, too, I don't think we're there yet. I think we're still being distracted and sold on bullshit, right? And that it don't matter if we're talking about Breonna Taylor or Kamala Harris. Like we go for the okie doke quite often.
I think implicit biases exist no matter where you are, right? I think it is the very nature of being a product of this American racist narrative, right? But I also think that we got to fully start to grasp and understand government. You know what I mean? In essence, the police are legitimately just merely the first and most accessible arm of the government. We kind of think of them as a different kind of a fraction, but they're not. They are government officials. That's really what they are. That's what it really breaks down to. So if we really want to shape and change the police department, we must shape and change the government. Right. And these are, again, so, you know, I've talked about voting down ballot. And nobody, I'm not going to say nobody, but very few of us are willing to make those kind of a sacrifices. Like, what do you mean I can't vote for the lesser of two evils? What do you mean I got to take a chance at sacrificing another 4 years of Trump? But what do you mean? So, you know, I think it was Salim, when Salim sat in for you that time, we had this conversation of how blackness is evolving. Like we're just kind of getting to the cusp of starting to understand what it really means to be black and American. You know, because we're not African and American. We're black Americans. That's the reality, right? That's the cultural context. That's the land construct. That's all of it, right? We don't know no shit about Africa. We don't, in mass. You know, most of us can't name 3 countries in Africa.
I ain't from Africa. I'm from Crenshaw Mafia.
I'm from Crenshaw Mafia, right? That's the true shit. So what does it mean in context to be here? What does it mean to be a citizen here? What value does citizenship have here? If we're going to question the value of citizenship here, then we must question the construct of the government here, right? And we must start effectively leveraging all aspects of citizenship to reap the benefits and the rewards of citizenship. We must, right? But what going to the transitioning into, segueing into the Kamala Harris, wearing Timbs and shit, you know, I'm looking at the comments and they say, you know, she's pandering and everybody panders. And that's true, right? But the reason she's pandering in the way that she's pandering, because in this very moment, in this very election cycle, right, we are the determining vote. We are the determining factor vote, right? And what she's leveraging is because we've been through the Barack phase already. We kind of question that bullshit right now. So she's coming in with a little more. She's even a little more ingratiated than Barack was, if we being honest.
This is facts.
Herself, right? A lot of people leverage Michelle as his level, as his entree into the community.
She was his hood pass.
That's his hood pass. But Kamala's a fucking AK.
She went to
Howard. Right? So she's ingratiated at a deeper level, right? But in a lot of ways, not even in a lot of ways, she's playing on that same kind of lack of understanding of identity that we have, while not offering us anything. You know what I mean?
Nothing.
Not offering us anything. And we're in a state and place in this specific America that we've inherited where we got to be offered something of great value, because we're almost at the extinction level. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but we haven't even demanded anything. We don't even have a demand, right? And I think to first be able to have a demand, you have to first be like, who the fuck are we? And I think it really starts there for me all the time. Who are we first? Then we can say what it is we want. It don't matter what the fight is, right? You could bring it straight back to the hood, right? We the GDs, them the Stones, right? We are the GDs. We want this block, and that block. We want to control all the drug trade on this block, and that block. If y'all come over here, we are going to do this, that, and the third. We know who we are, we know what we want, and we're ready and willing to deliver a sufficient enough consequence to you if you don't adhere to those set of demands. Right? It's not that fucking complicated. The problem is we can't figure out what fucking team we play on. We don't know which gang we're in, right? And I think that until we're able to consolidate that gang, right, and understand which team exactly we play for, then trying to figure out what we want, and then furthermore being able to deliver a sufficient enough consequence if we don't get what we want, is really it's really a fallacy. It's not a real thing for it. It's not something that we can actually get done right now. Not operating from the standpoint at which we're operating from in this given moment. At least that's my personal opinion. I could be wrong. Maybe you guys feel differently. Maybe it's a situation where, okay, even without the majority, even without the numbers, we can do this on a smaller scale. And I think that's fine, right? We certainly have examples throughout history of being able to do those types of things. But I believe that if we're going to get to a space where not only do we feel confident in our ability to respond to things, but that other people feel threatened by our existence enough to not even try to fuck us over in the first place, right? It's what we see now with the LGBTQ community. People go out of their way to make sure they don't land on their bad side now because that particular group of people have been able to understand who they are, identify themselves as such, and say this is what we want and this is what we'll do if we don't fucking get it. We haven't done that, and so not only do we not feel threatening, but other people don't feel threatened by us. And to your point that you make all the time, you must be fucking threatening.
Yeah, you must be, man. It's interesting that you brought up the LGBTQ community. I know this might be a little bit off base, man, but I was asking you earlier, had you seen Lovecraft?
Wow, yeah. Let's get into that a little bit.
And I haven't, I'm not like an avid TV watcher anyway, but the other night I tuned into an episode of Lovecraft, and I don't know the brother's name, maybe Michael White or something like that. The guy who plays
K.
Omar,
Williams.
Michael K. Williams, the guy who plays Omar in The Wire. I turned into Lovecraft, and it was this like, I don't even know how to describe the scene, brother, but it was like over the top. It was very over the top, homosexual. It was next level, G. It was next level. It was so vulgar and blatant, right? And again, I'm not anti-homosexual. I could give a shit what you do in the pub, the privacy of your own home. I could care less. But I just had this thought, man, like, damn, why does every black show, and I'm not even an avid TV guy, but every time I turn on a black show, this character always has to exist, and he exists in such a blatant, like in your face kind of manner. You know what I mean? And I was talking to somebody else that wrote something about it on Facebook, and I was like, man, why does that character always got to exist these days? And in that conversation, someone else chimed in and said they had read the book about Lovecraft, and that same character in the book was not a gay character. And you got to start asking yourself, like, why are they creating these paradigms where these are the images that they're showing on media all day long? And if we're talking about social media, if we're talking about media in general and how it starts to manipulate thought and behavior, right? And it's not about being homosexual, in my opinion, but it is about the feminization of the black man. And in that feminization of the black man, you get what you get right now. You get the extinction of warrior classes, right? So when Breonna Taylor happens, what do we do?
Please do the right thing.
Do the right thing.
The same motherfuckers who came here and do the wrong thing, please now do the right thing.
Right. Now, if you was to transfer that or juxtapose that to another community, right? We saw white militias today forming, saying, I ain't going for this bullshit, walking down the street with arms.
Walking into Capitol buildings across this country.
I'm not going for the bullshit.
Fuck y'all.
Fuck y'all.
Fuck your mask.
Right?
I'm not wearing one. I'm bringing my AK in here to do something.
Fuck y'all. Right? But we've been kind of been conditioned into this feminine state, and then we get to these conversations. I just asked you. I said, "What does justice look like?" Because I'm stuck at that place.
It's a real question.
Because I don't fuck some justice. I want some retribution.
Right.
And that's never a conversation, and maybe that can't be a public conversation. I don't know. Right. But again, I'm legitimately stuck there. What does justice look like when someone takes your child's life? What does justice fucking look like? I can't find an answer to that.
A Time to Kill. You got to feel like Samuel L. Jackson in A Time to Kill, right? I mean, they brutalized his daughter, right? And he wasn't for none of the bullshit y'all was talking about. Fuck this courtroom, fuck all that goofy shit. I wanted to kill that motherfucker is what he said. Like, yeah, I said that, right? And that's exactly how I felt. And that's how I still feel, right? And your 12 million, your 8 million, your 44 million, whatever the fuck they would have gave that white woman, right? That's not enough. That's not sufficient. And I think that all of us need to understand that, because really it's not saying here's the value of Breonna Taylor's life. We setting it at 12 million. It's all y'all niggas. Fuck y'all.
Yeah, and if look, numbers are infinite.
Meanwhile, if you come down here and break this glass on Michigan Avenue, we're gonna fuck y'all up, because that glass is more valuable than you too.
Yeah, but again, we in this phase of life where Black Lives Matter is a connotation that you hear all the time, and you got to ask yourself, if you can attach a number to a life, does it really fucking matter? Does it really fucking matter? Right? And again, so I got a lot of problems with the whole movement of Black Lives Matter, right? And I've always had a problem with the movement. It's not about who leadership and none of that shit, but the moniker itself is coming from a subservient stance. Right, you're screaming Black Lives Matter. who are you asking them to matter to?
Right.
Right. In the beginning, it was hands up and don't shoot. All those positions are very subservient positions. Right. They don't lend to any threat. It's all from a subservient position. And the further we get down this line of I guess you could say civil rights or fighting for freedom or getting beyond oppression, it all is tinged in this kind of feminine, subservient connotation.
Yeah.
Capitulating kind of stance.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And by the very nature of who I am, that's not how I operate.
I just don't really have that. I don't really have that in me, right? It's like it's always a possibility. Like, you bring some stupid shit to me, it's always a possibility for it to go left for both of us, right? Because I'm just not really here for that kind of stupid shit. Now, I'm not saying on the same level of when I was 17, 18, 19, where you couldn't say the wrong thing to me, you couldn't bump into me in somebody's club. I mean, like, you literally trying to bring a serious threat to my life. Like, it can go down right here. Fuck you. Fuck that badge. Fuck everything that you're talking about right now, right? This is real, right? I posted a picture on my Instagram yesterday of my nieces. I was out of my brother's house for Labor Day, and I took a picture with my nieces and my nephew, and I posted it yesterday with the caption that simply says, "This some shit I'm down to receive a lethal injection for."
Man, right? Sometimes the only way to prevent violence is to have better people, better trained in violence.
That's it.
It just is what the fuck it is.
That's it. And therein lies the value that I can see Mike Brown bringing to the community. Right now, his political, how he views that, some of that shit, whatever. But in terms of encouraging people to be prepared and be ready to stand on some shit, that's real, right? He made a comment in here a second ago, and I don't know if he had a chance to respond, but he made a comment that says, "I love this aggressive talk." Now, I don't know what he was, insinuating. Like, are we actually prepared to back up any of this talk? I absolutely am. I know that you absolutely are, right? I've been in these dark corners and alleys and back streets with you, right, in diffusing many of these situations, right? But I think that it's a real question to say, are all of us prepared to really go there? Are we trained to be able to go there?
So I think Mike is being facetious.
That's Mike is a master marketer and manipulator.
Yeah, but what I want to say though is that even to Mike's standpoint is that I think he's relating it to being tough, right? Oh, look at all this tough Tony talk. I don't relate it to being tough.
It's love for me.
It's love, bro. It ain't being tough.
It's love.
Just love.
Right.
That's all it is, right? And therein lies the difference, right? In understanding that. Now, I always speak from that standpoint. Whenever we're on these microphones, we could talk about capitalism, we could talk about racism, but I always bring in the context of spirituality, right? Because at my core, I can't speak for everybody else, but at my core, universal law reigns supreme, and the universe is steeped in spirit. We got to be real about that. At least I am. That's how I view it, right? So at my core, with that understanding of love, then sometimes you got to die for that. You got to die so the next generation can live. That's just how this shit works.
Period.
Right? So, yeah, like I said, man, I don't know if Mike is being facetious or not.
Death has to be on the table for that thing. I love me enough that I'm not finna go for this shit, right? And I'll die defending myself on this shit. I love you enough that I'm not finna go for that shit, right? And whatever comes with that just comes with that, because death, as we say all the time, death is already on the table. We're already fucking dying. We're dying across the fucking country. Whether you talk about finances, education, politics, criminal justice, pick a spot. We're fucking dying in that shit already, right? And so, if we're already dying, then what's the fear for? What are we fear? Like, you'll never see me making some of these videos that have gone viral this year with these black people pulled over in their cars crying because some white man stopped them on the street and didn't let them pass. Fuck you, dude. Fuck you. Like, none of that shit is acceptable to me. And I think
that's a question we got to start we got to ask the audience. Though. I think that's a question that we got to start to ponder in a real way. G.
Okay.
What the fuck is justice? What does justice look like? Right? What does justice look like? You know what I mean? What does it look like? What does equity look like?
You know
right?
Go ahead.
These are questions that we have to start answering for our community, because we do dumbass shit based on personality, based on style, based on swag, based on very surface level bullshit.
Sure.
Because we're not asking ourselves the true hard questions, right? So Kamala could come through wearing Timbs and she the shit, or Kamala could have an AKA pendant on her shoulder, and just to be 100, I'm an alpha, right? That don't mean shit to me. That don't mean shit to me in the context of what's good for my people, my community, right? So same shit with Obama, same shit with Bill Clinton blowing the fucking saxophone. All of these things that we kind of give these omissions of our own desires because of this goddamn service level behavior that these people can exhibit. It bothers me. It's like the white boy that can rap or the white boy that can dance.
Right.
Like he's a special kind of motherfucker because he can do some shit that we just do naturally.
Right.
That's fuck all that.
Right.
What value asset are we getting out of this?
Right.
Out of any of it?
Right.
And if we can't answer those questions, then why are we participating? I'm getting frustrated with this shit at a very high level, man.
My thing is that when you talk about, what does justice look like? What is justice? And in terms of posing it as a question to black people, I think that in every other aspect, we know fully what justice looks like. We know fully what justice would look like if somebody from the hood walked up to you, punched you in your motherfucking face. We know fully what justice would look like if you were just trying to come out of your parking space or come off your own block, and some people and some black people in the car boxed you in and said you can't go down the street no more. We know how you respond to that. And it would not be to get back in my truck, pull out my phone, and start crying on Facebook or Instagram that these people won't let me pass. You would enact justice right then and there on the scene for yourself. But when it comes to other people harming us, now we got to go through the proper channels. Now we got to depend on the court of law. Now we got to handle this thing judiciously. That's bullshit. That's bullshit. Nobody handles it that way in any other aspect of our communities. Somebody shoot one of yours, you want to shoot one of theirs. Somebody beat your ass, you want to beat their ass. Somebody come beat your son ass, you want to go down there and see what his daddy is. I'm going to beat his ass or I'm going to beat the son out. Somebody getting fucked up. Unless it happens to be a white person walking down the street or a cop or a white lady in the grocery store or whatever the fuck.
Mike keeps saying we not ready, right? So the highest vibration, the highest frequency on this planet is love, right? Now, I don't think that most of us are operating in the purity of love. I don't think that is true, right? But to the point of frequencies and where we are operating, I think that is a conversation that we do need to have, right? We made a joke earlier about the WAP song, about it getting you shot in the pinky toe or getting your husband chasing after more and more WAP.
Yeah.
Right? But the only reason I even brought in the conversation of Cardi and her husband Offset getting a divorce today, because I really don't give a fuck about that. But the reason I brought it into the conversation today, because I'm 44 years old. And at 44 years old, when I start looking at my social media feeds, most of the people on that feed I assume to be somewhere near that peer group. And yesterday they announced the Breonna Taylor settlement, and there's a whole yesterday 100 and something thousand people died of COVID, and yesterday this Trump article surfaced about him looking for a third term without securing a second term. These were just easy topics to grasp a hold of, right? But when I looked at my feed, man, that shit was dominated by Cardi B. And how old is Cardi B? You got an idea?
I don't know how old
Let's say
Cardi
she's
B is.
20 something.
Okay.
Right? And as a 20-something, when she's out in the entertainment circle, she's probably speaking to a teenage level frequency, right? But my entire timeline was dominated by that goddamn conversation. And I was embarrassed by it, right? And I was embarrassed by it because what it speaks to is how low of a frequency that we're vibrating at as a people.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And that's part of the dumbing down of America. That's part of the deconstruction of the spiritual element of just being human, right? They've dumbed us down to, even when you start thinking about like the kinds of music, the drill music, and it being one long song, like the beat pattern, the rhythms, all that shit is just the same. It's the same. It's the same. But when we start having these conversations just about like entertainment and entertainers, and even the level of entertainment and entertainers, it disturbs the shit out of me. But it also speaks to how the power elite are maintaining their power position.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Because they're drowning us out into this damn mind-numbing ass, desensitized ass way of living. So even to the point of Mike saying we're not ready. getting ready is not, in my mind, getting ready is not necessarily a class or necessarily a rites of passage through these war strategies to get ready for the fight. Right. Getting ready, in my mind, is finding love in ourselves. Because once you love yourself, there's certain shit you just ain't going to accept.
The other shit will come with it, right? Everything else will come with it. If I can find the love for myself, then I should be able to find the love for you and for my community. And once we are all standing in that love, then you just not going to come over here and fuck shit up. You'll see a lot of things change. We're not going to throw the fucking paper down and the trash down in our community. This is my fucking community. I love it. Don't throw fucking shit down here, right? We'll change how we interact with each other. And then naturally we'll change how we respond to other people harming us. And that is what getting ready looks like. And then we can say, okay, Mike, we all love each other over here. We all got we understand what team we play for. We have common interests, common goals, a common agenda with some demands behind it, with some consequences for it. Can you help us be prepared to deliver the consequences or at least protect ours, right? Then we can be ready for it, right? But I think absolutely it starts with the love. The revolution has to start with the revolution of the mind. It's not going to start from an external place first. It's going to start in an internal place, and then you'll see it kind of play out externally thereafter. But first, it's got to start within. We have to take our last break. I blew right through the last stop sign. My bad, Esco. I'm very, very sorry. We're going to take our last break, and when we come back, we'll wrap up the conversation for the day, get you guys set for Chicago Famous coming up next 3 to 6. This is Herb and 2. I said what I said. We'll be right back.
WIFTBPN. Shop at Black-owned and operated Solo Beauty, where you are appreciated and respected. Located at 8158 South Cottage Grove, Solo Beauty can supply all of your black hair care needs. Solo Beauty is open from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. Tuesday through Saturday, or you can find them online at solobeauty.com.
Hi, I'm Dr. Willie Wilson, and I'm running for U.S. Senate for the state of Illinois. I will never give up on inclusion and equality, prison reform, reduced property taxes, and economic opportunity for all. I want to get to know your neighborhood and the problems that you face every day. And I want to serve every man, woman, and child in the state of Illinois. A vote for me is a vote for you.
WIFTBPN. Live from What's In It for the Black Media Studio. You're listening to I Said What I Said.
Wait, what did you say?
I said you're listening to I Said What I Said.
I just said that. I know you just said that. That's what I just said. That's what I'm saying to you. Exactly what he just said.
With Herb Howard and Toussaint Werner.
That's about one of the nicest things you've ever said.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying.
And we are back. We are live from the What's In It for the Black People Media Studios. This is I Said What I Said. My name is Herb Howard. My esteemed co-host, his name is Toussaint Werner. Thank y'all so much for being a part of the conversation. We're going to get ready to wrap up this conversation, but over the break, we're kind of scrolling through y'all comments as we try and catch up on many of the comments during the breaks to see what y'all been talking about. And I see a very, very interesting development happening right now. Mike Brown, host of Triggered, is engaging in a spirited conversation with Izwiz OG and our brother Marquin McDonald. Q, very, very capable in terms of self-defense and offense, if you will. He's very, very capable in terms of defending himself with his hands and martial arts, but also in the firearm world as well. I'm not instigating any type of issue between you two brothers at all. Love you both. But I do think that when Mike is like, y'all not ready, and then it's like, nah, we are ready, and we got some other warrior spirits that are absolutely ready to roll, and he just stumbled across one of them in Q, and I'm kind of keeping my eye on this conversation. Y'all make sure that don't get ignorant or out of hand. Patai, you stay out of it with your instigating ass.
Mike got a different opinion of who we are. I fully understand that Mike don't understand who I am. And that's all good. I ain't tripping. You know what I mean? That's part of the benefit of being who I am.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I think that's part of the benefit of being black in America. Again, right? Mike asked me earlier, have I ever been to war? Right? He said that earlier. And my response was that I was born into a war. And that's what I mean. And we got to start understanding that we are behind enemy lines. That's what this experience is really being about, right? We talk about economics all the time, man. We had these conversations as if they've ever existed in a moment in time in America for our people, right? We talk about shit like generational wealth, right? There's only been one generation of black people in America that has ever harnessed any wealth. None before them and none after them. So it ain't never been a such thing as generational wealth in our community, right? And when you start thinking about the development and the creation of the middle class, that was developed and created through legislation. That was developed and created through government. It wasn't developed and created through pulling yourself up from your fucking bootstraps.
That was a time and space thing.
Right. We have a misunderstanding of how wealth is generated in America. We have a misunderstanding of what it means to be black in America. We have a misunderstanding of what the fuck it means to be in the caste system.
Sure.
These are all answers and these are all questions that we have to begin to answer, right? We talk about the ADOS movement oftentimes in here. And we talk about being outside of the construct of what it means to be an American descendant of slave. And as soon as you start having that conversation with a lot of us, you start to get labeled as being xenophobic. But that's because we haven't fully figured out our identity, right? So we're moving through these phases slowly but surely, but we are going to get there, right? We talk about reparations. Some people say that's never going to happen. I disagree. I think it's innate. I think it has to happen, right? I think even the design, all of this shit, the universe corrects itself. It has a way of self-correcting itself. So as shitty as Donald Trump is in the paradigm of how we view him, he's really self-correcting. He's helping the planet self-correct. At least
keep it up,
America,
Mr. President.
Self-correct.
Yes.
Right? And Mike keeps saying, y'all ain't ready, y'all ain't ready. Well, part of that self-correction might lead to a little bit of bloodshed, but it's just the natural transgression.
Yeah.
It's how this shit's gonna work.
Yeah.
Right? It's how this shit has to work.
Yeah.
It just is what it is.
Yeah, it has to. It has to get to a point where we are fed up enough to where then we look internally for the solutions to these issues. I think for far too long we've looked externally, whether you look to the government or whomever the fuck we look to when these things arise, instead of looking internally. And when we do that, it will cause us to respond differently, similar to those militias that we cited earlier, right? They look to themselves to solve the things they had issues with. Now, whether or not their issues were valid isn't really the question at hand here. It's what they look to actually solve those issues. And they looked within, and then they said, we got the gumption to do something about it, right? And because they're white, they were allowed to do so. They were allowed to march into a government building and walk into a government meeting and take over seats during international pandemic, and social distancing guidelines were in place, and they sat in every fucking seat in the House, right? And say, what the fuck y'all gonna do about it? Until the actual speaker leading the meeting was like, okay, y'all can stay, right? Nobody's gonna push back against y'all on this shit. Black people don't have that type of luxury in this country, right? But we do have is a unique set of skills, right? That should
we got to understand the survival.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
We got a unique understanding of survival.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
A unique understanding of survival in the wealthiest, laziest country in the world. Right? So by the very nature of our understanding of survival, if it was to jump off in the way that they're talking about it could jump off, that might put us at an advantage. You know, just to add some comic relief though, man, I saw this on the other feed before we lost it, man. But Gene said Kamala did not have on weeks, Joe. Them bitches was Skechers.
That's what happened when you try to fake the culture, man. We know them ain't real, Tim Shorty. You got on the bird mask.
Yeah, man, that's funny, man. That's funny as hell.
Listen, too, we got about 2 minutes before we got to get up out of here. Coming up next is Chicago famous Mike Love and Diz every weekday, 3 to 6 p.m. right here on What's In It for the Black People Media, following I Said What I Said, and following the Bigs on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Before we get out of here, man, I know you don't like when I ask you to put a bow on the conversation, so I won't say that. How would you like to wrap up this particular show, sir?
I'm going to respond to Ryan Jackson's comment with my wrap up.
Okay.
Ryan Jackson says if we got reparations, white people would start pulling out all these black ancestors they've been hiding, that us blacks wouldn't get anything because they claimed it all for themselves. So I think we tend to think of reparations as a gift, and it's not a gift.
Nope.
It's a debt.
It's a debt.
It's a debt, just like a goddamn bill collector. So you could take that same mindset, Ryan, and apply it to your tuition or to your light bill or to your goddamn heating bill or your water bill or whatever the fuck, and see what kind of results you get. I'm sure them motherfuckers is coming for their goddamn money. And we have to have the same attitude and mindset, right? We kind of got this damn defeatist ass. There's sectors of our communities, right? And we've all been kind of conditioned in some way or from some fashion, right? And a lot of that conditioning is predicated in disbelief, in devaluing ourselves, and not understanding our trajectory, and not understanding our history. And I'm tired of that goddamn voice, man. It's one band, one goddamn sound. That's exactly what identity means. That's what identity means. Yeah. And until we get on that road, on that street, you fucking right, Ryan.
Right.
We ain't getting shit.
Right.
But we ain't gonna get shit because of cats like you, bro.
Right. I agree wholeheartedly. I will wrap up this conversation by saying we have to look internally more so than we look externally for all these solutions, right? Everything we talked about today, whether you talk about Trump, whether you talk about the manipulation of technology, or you talk about Kamala Harris, Breonna Taylor, whatever it may be, our response has to come from an internal source. We can't look to these external things to make us feel better. That is how we were manipulated through technology. We can't look to external sources to give us justice in cases of injustice with Breonna Taylor. We can't look to any external forces to say, oh, the White House is going to come save us, and it makes a huge fucking difference whether it's Joe Biden or Donald Trump. Doesn't make a huge fucking difference. Our position is our position. We've been cast into it, and if we're going to change it, it's going to have to start and end with us. Listen, I want to thank each and every one of you all for tuning in to I Said What I Said. We greatly, greatly appreciate it. As always, your input was valued. It is certainly appreciated.
We got 1 minute left.
We got about 15 seconds left.
I'm going to say this in love to Mike, man. I know you like to trigger people, and I know you're good at it. But just being contrarian for the sake of being contrarian is never going to get us anywhere.
That is Toussaint Warner. My name is Herb Howard.
He said he took the wheels off your bike.
What did he say?
So you walking home.
Patah. Listen, we got to get up out of here. Coming up next, Chicago famous Mike Love and Diz. We will see y'all Friday at 1 p.m. Until then, y'all be good to each other. Peace.